Hi, everyone. Welcome and good morning. Today, we're going to start our weekly webinar. Here we have with us Angela Rodriguez, and she has a special presentation for us just the Monday before Christmas. And well, Angie, the scenery is all yours. Welcome.
You. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us live. Those of you who are live, thank you for catching the replay. Those of you who are catching the replay, we just want to give you some quick tips for reflection and planning for the next year. So we'll have a short product spotlight, but our big focus today is going to be reflection. So can you all make sure that you have, like, this is my used notebook, right? Like this is where I write all things used every day, but make sure you have a piece of paper or something. We're going to be doing some reflections, and I'm going to try to like stop and pause and give you a moment to think during this time so that you actually get started on it now. Because if your brain is like mine, and you say, oh yeah, I'll do that later, well, life is busy and a bunch of other things come up later. So try to do it right now, get most of your reflection and your goal setting ready to go now, and check another thing off of your list and help your business be even more prosperous and even more fun in 2023. So our agenda for today, we are going to do just a quick product spotlight on the Essential3 set, and then we're just going to focus on planning for 2023. And I do have a call to action, and we'll go over promos and things like that as well. So we have a big announcement that we are going to try a new webinar time starting in January 2023. So this will be our new English webinar schedule. Let me know in the chat if that is a good thing for you. We'd like your feedback as well. We're always trying to find a time when the most people can connect. So we're going to try this is our last webinar of 2022. Isn't that exciting? And we're going to start our next Monday webinar in January. It will be at 1 p.m. Central. So make sure you make note of that, and we will do our best to send out reminders, but we're going to switch to a little bit more midday so that hopefully we can catch you in between errands and running around and doing your family things, etc. So you can stop in and get some inspiration for your business. And today we're going to do just a quick product spotlight on the Essential3 set. Can you tell me in the chat how many of you have this? And if you do have it, can you tell me if you have a favorite roll-on? I don't know if I can pick between these three, but I would say, like, if I had to pick between the three Essential3 roll-ons, my favorite most days would be anti-stress, because I'm kind of an intense person. I'm kind of a perfectionist, and I get stressed really easily about simple things sometimes, which is something I'm always working on. So I use anti-stress to calm my nervous system down on a regular basis. Yeah, Jennifer said she agrees too. Anti-stress, it's a miracle. Like, those 15 oils are so well blended together that I cannot believe how great they make me feel. So as you're talking about this set with your customers, as you know, this is a great set for someone to use to get started with use, especially if someone has never really felt the power of essential oils before. By using any of these three, these are powerful blends that we feel the difference in minutes, in moments, right? So when you are doing a one-on-one shopping appointment with someone, when you are doing a demonstration, when you're out in the community and someone is complaining about one of our major needs like fatigue, tension, stress, headaches, etc., having these around so that they can smell them, they can apply them, they can try them. This is like a game changer for our business, because people feel the difference right away and fall in love with them so fast. So remember that when someone needs energy, they need that energy boost or a quick pick-me-up. That's when we're talking about Guducci Revitalizer. So the way this works is it gives us like a natural endorphin boost. So it tells our body to give us that natural endorphin boost, which helps elevate our mood and helps us feel more awake, which is fantastic. So when we're marketing this or talking about this with people, we're talking about using this in the morning. A lot of my customers say, yes, I do this. I'm a coffee drinker, but I do this while my coffee is brewing. We know that takes 10 minutes sometimes, right? Or a lot of people who are trying to reduce their coffee intake. Like when I was working as a full-time teacher, coffee was always like, we were just fueled on coffee, and we'd be dehydrated then, and we'd have these slumps afterwards. So it's a great kind of replacement for some of the coffee that people consume or caffeine that people consume during the day. And a lot of people like this after like their lunch break or something like that, when they get kind of a midday slump, like all of a sudden their energy is used up and it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's a great thing to have on hand all the time, because a lot of us need a little pick-me-up during the day. And as you know, this aroma also is like this fantastic kick to the senses, right? We have citrus oils like lemon and lime, but we also have the guduchi extract. We have menthol and camphor, which give it like a stronger aroma. So it's like this citrusy floral menthol camphor blend that just, it wakes your senses up. I love it, love it, love it. And it even gives us like this multi-sensory little tingly sensation from those citrus and the menthol and camphor, like just this little tiny tingle that also, I feel like I love the combination of the aroma, the sensation, and then like that natural endorphin boost that it already is giving us. So make sure when you're describing this, especially if you're like me and you end up describing a lot of oils online, like in a virtual environment, make sure you give all of those descriptors so that people can have that experience, even if they're not applying it right at that time. Okay, so when you need to release tension, this is great for people who suffer from a lot of headaches, or people even with migraines. A lot of that comes from like tension starts to build up and then it turns into a bad headache or migraine. So that 31 herbal oil is great for releasing tension that ends up causing us pain in the form of headache or muscle pain, etc. And so it's going to release the tension. It's going to help reduce those symptoms that lead to headaches and muscle pain. It also gives us kind of this natural energy boost and just a sense of well-being. This is 31 different essential oils that just work to kind of balance everything out and make us feel much better in the moment. So when we're marketing this to people, we talk about using this after work. You're trying to release that stress that you've been holding on to throughout the day. When you're spending too much time on screens and you feel like tight and tense from being too like in an awkward position on screens during the day. During illness, I use this all the time for allergies and nasal congestion because it just kind of refreshes everything and calms down those symptoms. So very multi-purpose, as you all know. And for anti-stress, this is more for when we're looking for those moments of calm. So essential oils work really well with our nervous system, especially our amygdala, right? So when we're applying anti-stress, it's just going in and telling us like all these emotions that are starting to build up and cause us anxiety and stress. It's just telling like, it's okay. And you can feel it happen in your body. It is so fun to just be able to like take a moment for yourself and calm that down when you're starting to get those big feelings, right? So this is great for relaxation, sense of well-being, and a sense of calm. And again, when we're marketing this and discussing this with people, we're talking about using it after work. We're talking about using it before bed and for those peaks of anxiety or stress. We have tons of people in our country that suffer from anxiety and stress. And definitely, we need like a holistic approach of how do we do better with those things? How do we change our mindset? How do we cut out things that are causing us unnecessary stress and anxiety? But we also need to be able to deal with that in the moment sometimes when we're with our families at work, etc. So that's a great thing to have on hand. And just a few important reminders. Remember that we want to make sure that our customers know not to use like Guduchi Revitalizer and anti-stress at the same time because their effects cancel each other out. We want to make sure that our customers, when they're trying this for the first time, especially like 31 herbal oil is a very powerful blend. So we don't want to recommend that for pregnant and nursing women, children under 2, things like that. Like it's a very powerful blend. And we always want to keep these oils away from the eye area because a lot of them have citrus oils or menthol, camphor, things like that are going to give us like this like refreshing tingling sensation, which is fantastic for snapping us out of these moments during the day, but we don't want it to accidentally get into their eyes, right? So make sure that if they do choose to put it on all of their energy points, including their temples, that they know to keep it away from their eyes and to make sure that they've done that after they've washed their face, put on their makeup, etc. Yes. So those are just some things that I tend to remind people about so that they have the best experience with these essential 3. And as you already know, I'm sure some of you might be new, so I'm going to just go over this quickly, but remember that we apply these roll-ons to our energy points, which would be our temples, away from our eyes, behind our ears, the nape of our neck, the inside of our wrist, and always tell them to rub to activate the aroma and breathe it in. They can do that with their palm or their wrist. I like it on my palm, where you rub to activate the aroma and take at least 3 or 4 deep breaths, or do that 4x4 breathing, where we take like breathe in for a count of 4, hold, breathe out for a count of 4, do that 4 times. But give them some extra strategies for how to make the most of it. We always apply and breathe it in so that we get the best effects, especially like 31 herbal oil. I think just works so much better when you take the time to really breathe it in. Let me know in the chat if you agree. I've had some people who struggle with really bad headaches, and they say, oh, I like it, but I don't really feel the full effects. And I ask them, are you breathing it in? Are you sitting there and breathing it in for a few minutes? And then they're like, oh yeah, that was the trick. That was what I needed. So just make sure you're always providing great customer service. This is a fantastic product. Make sure you're giving great customer service and really specific instructions to help them make the most of it. Also, we have these Essential3 brochures available to purchase with our business supplies. If you don't have these at home, they are super cool. It has a really complete description of the products, but also gives some background on use, and it gives really good instructions on how to use each of these blends, what's in these blends, do's and don'ts, etc. And the nice thing is that these little brochures, they fold into, into about this big, and they fit in a regular long envelope. So when I want to send this out with like a little sample of either all 3 of them or 1 or 2 of them, I can put it in a regular envelope with a regular stamp and send them out to my customers. So lots of good things about this brochure. If you don't have them at home yet, definitely look at them the next time you place an order in your consultant catalog and business supplies. Okay, so the rest of our time today, we're going to do a lot of reflecting about 2022, how it went, what went well for us, what we'd like to learn more about, what we'd like to change. And think of this as, just like we make New Year's resolutions in our personal life, we should also be doing that same kind of reflection and goal setting in our youth business. But with the modification of, let's be a little bit more determined about this when it comes to our business, right? Like if you have a New Year's resolution, I'm going to stop drinking coffee, and that lasts for 2 weeks, and then you're back to drinking coffee, right? Like sometimes in our personal life, we don't take those so seriously. When it's our business, when this is income for our families, we want to make sure that we have a set plan. We want to write it down somewhere or type it up somewhere. We want to share it with someone else so that we are really dedicating our energy to this and making the most of this. So like I said, make sure you have a piece of paper and you can do these reflections right along with me. I'm going to write some stuff down too as we're talking, and I'll share some examples as well. So let's see. Let's start off with, I'm going to do about 6 steps of different parts of our reflection and goal setting for this next year. So let's talk about our priorities. Before I even show my list, what are some priorities in your own business? If you were like, okay, I can do 1 or 2 things for my youth business this week, what would be your 2 priorities? What are the 2 things that would really be most important to your business? Share in the chat, or just write it down. What is something that you consider a priority in your youth business? Are you looking at things like your key indicators, like your personal sales goal or your group sales goal? Or are you looking at your team's growth? How many new consultants do you have on your team? Or are you looking at their performance? What have you done to help them grow and learn how to really thrive in their youth business? Things like that. Are those your priorities? For a lot of us, those should be some of our baseline priorities for our business because they tell us how we are doing, right? They are necessary for us to grow. Also, think about the routines that you have done in 2022 that have most powered your business. What have you done that gave you really great results that you were like, wow, this is a game changer for my business? For example, for me, it has been making more personal phone calls. It has been going to expos, even when I think that I'm not going to get, like, I'm like, oh, I'm probably not going to sell a lot of product, or I probably won't be, like, sometimes I get kind of doubtful about that, but I go and do it, and I meet new consultants and new customers. I would say some of my top consultants and top customers right now, I have met at expos or vendor events where I go and I just talk with people and meet new people. I would say also like TikTok and social media has helped me reach out to a lot of a more public audience and get people to be curious about youth and start conversations with me about youth as well. So those are some routines that I would say, okay, I cannot let those routines drop in 2023 because they have really changed my business in 2022. Yeah. What are some gaps or skills that you would like to, gaps in skills or in results that you would like to resolve in 2023? So for example, maybe you're like, oh, I just don't get how to post on social media. I don't get how to download graphics from the app. I don't get how to write a good description of to go along with my social media posts, etc. Maybe identify some gaps. For me too, it's like, okay, how do I gain more influence with my community? If I'm going out in this public outreach and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, how do I get people to look at me as like an influencer? How do I get people to know that I'm the real deal, that I know what I'm talking about, that I'm working to help them feel better, like that I have good intentions, things like that. So I take, classes on attraction marketing and influencing strategies, so that I get better at that. Yeah. So identify what are some gaps in skills or results that you would like to improve. So, and then how can you go about looking for training and research? Sometimes it's on YouTube. Sometimes it's a course that you sign up for. Sometimes it's attending your Monday webinars for tips a little at a time every week, things like that. How can we fill in some of those gaps and skills? And for a lot of you, it might just be like reaching out to your upline and asking them about it, or messaging me in the consultant group and just saying like, hey, I know I really want to learn how to do this. I have like a bajillion videos that I can share with you and help with that as well. So I have like little tutorials of how to do things. I'm happy to share that with you. If those other steps aren't working for you, just reach out and I will help with that as well. I'm a teacher at heart. I love to share things. So, and just remember that your priorities can be low tech or high tech. For example, low tech, like let's say you do a lot of in-person connecting with people. You go out in the community a lot, you do a lot of in-person spas, you do things like that. What are some low tech things that you might do? Maybe you are going to start carrying samples around with you all the time in your bag, so that you can, when you have a conversation with someone and they discuss a need, you can share a solution with them. Yes. Or maybe you're going to learn how to put your information on an address label, like on a little sticker with a QR code and a description of how to use this product and your website and things like that. And you can start making these little stickers that you put on the back of your samples. And then when you give your samples out to people, they can contact you or shop really easily, right? So those can be little things like, I'm going to learn how to do this, or I'm going to give out more samples, but they're going to be good quality samples, things like that. It can also be high tech, like I'm trying to learn TikTok in and out, right? Whew, that's a big job. So it can be high tech or low tech, but come up with some priorities that you think will really help your business to grow this next year. Okay. Now, it's also good to set specific goals, to have like a vision of what you are going to accomplish in 2023. So go ahead and share goals in the chat or write them down. What kinds of goals do you have for 2023 for your key indicators? So like, what would you like to have in personal sales? You can, for a lot of us, it works well to say like every month. What would you like to have in your personal sales every month? What would you like to have in your group sales every month? How many new consultants would you like to incorporate into your team every month? How would you like to help them have good performance every month? How do you keep those consultants active in learning how to do new things with their business? So when you look at that, for some of us, it might be, okay, I want to be a leader every month, which means I need 3 active consultants on my team. So I have to have them there, but I also have to give them almost daily tips and training so that they keep their business rolling and growing. And then so if I want to be a leader, I would say personal sales goal is at least 500, right? So I can qualify as a leader. My group sales would be at least 2,500 so that I can qualify as a leader. I have at least 3 active consultants, but let's say I want to get 2 new ones every month. That's my goal. I want to talk to people about the business opportunity regularly and have 2 new consultants on my team every month. And I want them to be active. So like every day, I'm going to post a tip, or I'm going to ask them about something, or I'm going to share something every single day. I'm going to help them with some kind of tip for their business, right? So think about that would be like a starter goal for me, right? I want to make sure that I qualify as a leader every single month, which means these things. Maybe, okay, so $500 in personal sales. Great. That means I get my personal sales bonus. I would get a 5% bonus on my personal sales for the month. And I could qualify as a leader as long as I meet all of those other things. Perfect. Awesome. I love it. Now, another goal that some of you might have would be like a wellness ambassador or entrepreneur goal, which means you are consistently selling $1,000 or more in personal sales every month. Write that down. If that is your personal sales goal, Now, the wellness ambassador and entrepreneur deal is really cool. Like if you consistently are selling $1,000 or more in personal sales, you can earn free used product credit. So look that up. If you are not familiar with that, it's included a lot in our updates and emails, but you can also look at the details of how that program works in your virtual office. So what are your goals? Think of the numbers for your goals, those key indicators of your personal sales, your group sales, your team growth, and your team performance. And for it depends, do what works well for you. How does your brain visualize your income and your performance at use? Do you want to say, okay, this is my yearly goal? For example, I used to be a teacher. Let's say I want to replace my teaching salary, which really, okay, that's like a mediocre goal, right? So we could say, I want to replace my teaching salary. This is how much I want to make a year. Then I can break that down. This is how much I would need to make every month of the year. This is how much I should be selling every week. This is how much I should be selling every day, right? Just take your goal and break it down into the smaller pieces so that you have something visible in front of you that is easy to attain every single day. Does that make sense? So come up with those numbers. If you are not sure what your numbers should be, look at your used opportunity presentation or that career plan at a glance, and that will help you see what are your requisites for everything. Or like I said, look up your wellness ambassador information in the app or in your virtual office so that you can see like, what do I need to do to earn that extra product credit? Because it's so nice getting used products for free, right? Does anyone have a question about that? Write a goal down. What are some of your specific goals? Looking at those key indicators is a great place to start. Okay, now another thing that we have to do, and this is like the sticky part that none of us like to do, what are some of your risks and limitations in your used business right now? I would like to see some of these in the chat, those of you who are here. What is a risk or a limitation where you're like, oh, this is something that's really not easy for me in my used business? For example, here's me writing, I have a 2-year-old at home with me all day, and she's kind of sick all the time. Or I have a 5-year-old who is also kind of sick all the time. My mom life right now gets very busy sometimes, and sometimes they need like 95% of my energy during the day, right? So that's a limitation for me. That is like, oh, this makes running my used business kind of tricky. But it's good for me to think about those things and know those things. And I have a whole list of limitations, right? I have a whole list of things that are tricky in my business, but it's really important to think about those things instead of just like a complaining and shutting down and putting it away in a drawer somewhere of like, oh, I have little kids, so I'll never be able to be successful in my youth business. I have a very solution-focused mindset, and I have a partner who helps me come to those solutions so that we can figure it out. But think about, okay, what are your own risks and limitations in your schedules? Okay. At 8 a.m., I have to go do this thing. At 11 a.m., I have to go do this thing and whatever. I have a lot of people who talk to me about, I don't have any time to put towards use. Now, normally we do have some time, but we have to determine what we do with that time, right? So everyone, please look at your schedule and make sure that you can carve out 15 to 30 minutes a day minimum for your used business. For me, it is usually during nap time. That's how I deal with my limitations of having a 2-year-old at home all the time. My work time is nap time. Sometimes if nap time doesn't happen the way I want it to, then it is like 30 minutes after bedtime, and that works okay for me. Or if my family goes off and does something else, I can grab it in the evening, but I try to make it nap time is my priority for when I run my business. Also, what are your habits? What are your habits with your used business? Do you have a structured plan of prioritized things to get done during that work time? Do you have a time frame set so that you're not just sitting there dinking around forever? Like you need a specific goal and time frame. What are your distractions? Okay, for me, it's my kids, but it's also like just background noise around in my house. That is a big distraction. Sometimes there will be like a movie on in the background or something like that, and my attention gets lost. So what are your distractions, and how can we try to limit that? Do you have a specific used workspace? Do you have like an office space where you focus on that and you're not looking at your dirty dishes, you're not looking at your laundry, you're not thinking about other things, like you can just focus for 15 to 30 minutes, or an hour is probably best for most of us. Your work and family responsibilities. So for me, I'm a stay-at-home mom right now. So I've had to really work on how do I find balance of self-care for myself, because that's what I'm preaching in my business all the time. How do I find time for self-care for myself and also be a good parent and partner in my family. And one thing for me has just been like, okay, so my gym offers this awesome deal where I can pay $30 a month and get up to, I can get 2 to 3 hours of childcare, like just drop off childcare for my 2-year-old every single day. So I can use that time. I have to be in the building, but I can use that time to work on my laptop in the cafeteria area, or go to the gym and work out and reduce some of my stress, things like that. So I have been able to find little solutions like that of like, what is a cost-effective way for me to get some time for myself and for my business, even though I have a child at home all the time. And that is important to me. That is why I love teaching. Like, I want to be here for my kids, but I can also find balance that way by reaching out to my resources and finding a solution. Also, technology and social media. For example, those of you who are like me, who you are starting to use TikTok more often, or you're on Facebook and Instagram and things like that, how do you find a balance between posting and keeping your algorithm active and not going down a rabbit hole and spending too much time on that social media, right? Like for me on TikTok, I post my own content and then I look through 5 TikToks from other people to get ideas and see what's trending and see what's going on TikTok, and try to like refresh what's going on, because I don't want to be outdated. But I don't sit there for, some people will sit on TikTok for hours. Don't do that. Use it for your business. Use it to power your business. Do not let it suck your own life out, right? So set specific goals for yourself. Set a timer on your phone. I want to see what's going on Instagram. I want to see what's going on TikTok. I'm going to set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes, right? For 10 minutes. And I'm going to see what's going on. And then I'm going to stop. Yes. You can do the same thing with like Netflix, right? I have time for watching a movie, for example, but it is like 30 minutes at the end of the day. It is not all day long in the background while I'm trying to run my business. So just try to set those really specific goals or limits for yourself, because we have to know what are our risks and our limitations and how to deal with them. I think there are very few things that we cannot find some kind of solution for, or some kind of improvement for. A lot of you, tell me in the chat, do any of you use Power Hour? They include that a lot in our weekly email updates. The Power Hour is this cool, like, I think it's a PDF, if I'm thinking in the right format. And it kind of like tells you, do this thing, here's a timer, get it done. Do this thing for your business, here's a timer, get it done. And it tells you like, what are the top things that will most likely power your business. Do it in this amount of time so that you make the most of your hour of work time, and reach out to a wide variety of audience and need. So that's another thing to check out. Put it on your list if you are struggling with your own risks and limitations and distractions, etc. All right, so another good thing to have available is to know your resources. If you are looking at growth, you need to be able to reach out and find information quickly and easily. Tell us in the chat, what is one resource that you have already used a lot this year? So think of 2022, what has been a resource that has been really helpful for you? Have you used your consultant app to search in the resources tab often? Have you used your personal website to look up specific product information, to share specific product links? Have you learned how to navigate social media? Hopefully by tuning into our webinars every week, you have learned some little tips a little at a time of how to make the most of your social media, like Facebook and Instagram. Later on, we'll be talking more about TikTok as well, if that's a direction that you're interested in. Have you been attending webinars and training that is offered by the company, our company wellness events, our Monday webinars, etc.? We put a lot of time and effort into that. We try to make these meaningful for you. We try to use our resources to get you the best information, to keep up with your professional development in your business as well. Do you know where to go and find marketing tips? We are marketers. We are marketers, whether we've studied marketing or not. So it's good to have, like maybe there's some YouTube channels that you follow. I take some extra courses and things like that. Like, how do you become a good marketer? Wellness tips. How many of you read about mindfulness or meditation or aromatherapy and things like that on a regular basis to really be an expert who has talent and knowledge to combine with our use mission, right? So that kind of personal development, like, you have to be the product of your product. You have to be the Imagine of holistic wellness and self-care, right? So are you doing that for yourself so that you have information, experiences, and extra tips to share with others? And then the time management tips too is also really important, like using your Use Power Hour and other resources, or just a timer, however you want, to manage your time and be productive. Okay. So write down what are some resources that you have already been using, and also what are some resources where you feel like you have gaps, and reach out to your upline, your sponsor, or someone on your team. Maybe you have your used buddy who you always check in with, and try to get some extra information about resources. Never be afraid to ask questions. I know all of us who are team leaders and beyond, we're always excited when you send us questions that we can answer. Like, we're like, yes, let me help you grow this aspect of your business, right? Okay, and another thing that we want to do when we're planning for 2023 is select new strategies to grow more, right? We don't want to just become stagnant. Like with technology running our world the way it does, we have to stay on it, because it changes so fast. We get left in the dust if we don't keep learning new strategies. So are you going to learn how to do social selling? We will continue to talk about this. You'll continue to see tips about it in your weekly emails on Mondays. There's one in your inbox right now. Go look at it. How can you take advantage of social selling and try out new tips? We're all trying to become experts on this and really take advantage of it, because it's a very powerful way to sell using, like our more public outreach on social media. How are you creating valuable content? Do you want to learn how to make your own graphics? Do you want to learn how to take better quality photos? Do you want to learn how to take better quality videos, things like that? Do you want to learn where to find information to describe our products in really clear and accurate ways, things like that? So we want to create valuable content. If you're struggling to find that information, reach out to your upline. Do you want to work on your public outreach? Maybe you have a group of friends and family that aren't really, you can't depend on them to run your business. That's why a lot of us have our business page on Facebook, our business page on Instagram, and our business page or a business account on TikTok, so that we're reaching new people all the time. And that can also be in person. It doesn't have to be online. You can go to community events. You can do vendor events and expos and things like that, to just keep meeting new people. Community connections. This is another thing that I do all the time, especially in my stay-at-home mom world, is that I am making new friends and acquaintances everywhere I go, whether I'm sitting at my daughter's tap class or swimming lessons or something like that, or I am, my daughter's playing at the kids area in the gym, and I'm just chatting with other moms all the time. Like, I'm always meeting new people. And a lot of times in those conversations we have, either we're talking about our kids being sick, or we're talking about our stress levels, or we're talking about, hey, what do you do? What do you do? Or things like that. So by having conversations with people, you meet a lot of nice people out in your community, and you also open the door to have conversations about use in a natural, authentic way with people, without just saying here's some samples of this random company you've never heard of, right? Like, you create those connections in your community by just going out and doing things in your community and having conversations with people. Like we already said, can you tell Power Hour is like a big push in this in this week's presentation. Work on your time management strategies. It is something that we all struggle with, and Youth has given us this really powerful Power Hour system that helps us manage our time more efficiently. And also, just maybe a strategy for you might be, how can I simplify my business and just do the things that work best for me, and that's my focus every week, and then I learn something new every week to try, maybe one thing. You can simplify your business as well. If you have those priorities that are working really well for you, just try to come up with one new thing that you want to try and master, and then another new thing that you want to try and master. I am the queen of overcomplicating life all the time. So this is something I'm always working on, is how can I simplify my business practices, do what works, and learn something new a little at a time, to not overwhelm myself, right? Okay, and so the last part of our reflection is to make an action plan. So anything that you've written down during this reflection time, what is your specific plan? And it should be brief. It should not be a huge list of things. Give yourself a list of 3 to 5 check boxes that you're I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. Make yourself a specific action plan for 2023 to really empower your business. What are your top priorities? What is it? Your personal sales? You're going to be calling people more often. You're going to be doing more spas. You're going to do wellness events, like open houses in your home. Are you going to go to more expos, things like that? Are you going to do more training for your team? I mean, what are your top priorities? Where do you see your gaps? What do you need to fill in the most in 2023? Break down your goals into manageable steps. So break it down into your year, month, week, day, however you need to get it into manageable steps, so it's something that you can see happening in front of you every day. Plan your routine on a calendar so that if you're going to be posting on social media, or you're going to be contacting your consultants, you're going to be calling customers, things like that, put them on a calendar that is consistent every week so that you don't forget to do those things. Reach out with questions and topics to your sponsors, to your team, to your used buddy. If none of that is working, you can also just find me in the consultant community. I'm happy to help with a lot of things. But have a used buddy to keep each other on track. So having someone that you're talking about your business with on a regular basis will also really help you not fall behind when, I don't know, your family is sick, or you're tired, or something's not working and you're feeling frustrated. Like, have a buddy who can talk you through those things, who can help you solve problems, and helps keep you accountable for what you're trying to achieve. Yeah. So make a little action plan. You should have a couple of check boxes of what you are going to do for 2023. I would say one of them might be keep coming to our weekly webinars to keep getting new ideas. Like we try to do some of this work for you, and bring it to you in manageable chunks every week. So hopefully you find that helpful. Okay, so make your action plan. And then our call to action for this week. So we have our reflection done, right? It's probably not really done, but we have our reflection started. We are thinking about all these things as we go into the rest of this holiday season, and January, I think, is where we really start picking up the pace again. And I want you to maybe make a few extra things on your to-do list. Try to keep selling 2 sets or $300 each week. Now, I know that this week gets a little tricky. This is like a holiday week, so maybe you want to start that next week. Like, it's up to you. Again, we won't be meeting next week because of the holidays, right? But continue to make that goal of yourself to sell 2 sets or $300 every week. Create and schedule content over holiday break. Try to be conscientious about, okay, we don't want to be like really salesy on holidays. I would just share things about my family or my traditions, or say happy holidays or something like that. So try to be focused more on connection versus sales over the holidays. But also create and schedule content maybe for like early this week, and for me, it'd be like between Christmas and New Year's, how am I talking about products and giving demonstrations and things like that I think will be relevant to my community. And then another big thing we want you to do is find a used buddy with whom you can share your used goals, your reflection that you have for 2023, and who you check in with regularly to keep yourself accountable for what you're planning on doing. So if you have a friend who is in used, or it could be your upline, like your sponsor, it could be someone on your team, try to find a used buddy and just say, hey, I'm trying to do some new things with my business this next year. Do you want to be on that journey with me? Can we just check in regularly, and inspire each other and hold each other accountable? Find a used buddy that will help you maintain your business and grow your business in this next year. So hopefully that gives you some ideas for how to wrap up this year and start the next. We're also going to go over some of the offers that are happening right now that you can still take advantage of.